And I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
No,
But it's hard not to.
it's hard not to.
Finding Your Roots is a show on PBS hosted by Henry Louis Gates Jr. and is focused on uncovering the hidden pasts of public figures through deep research and DNA testing. Family histories are built on cherished stories, but what happens when those stories fall apart? Imagine learning that the man who raised you isn't your biological father, or that your family's proudest story is a myth. How do you reconcile with ancestors who led secret lives or committed shocking acts? In this video, we go into the 20 most awkward moments on Finding Your Roots. Hidden scandals and buried truths come to light, leaving both guests and viewers stunned. Nora ODonnell. The CBS anchor, Nora ODonnell, had expected to hear nice and proud stories about her Irish heritage, but instead got hit with a shocking revelation. Her grandmother, Mary Teresa Monaghan, had her U.S. citizenship revoked. And it wasn't for a crime, but for a small lie on her citizenship application. She claimed to be single when she was actually married. Why would she do that? Well, Nora discovered that Mary lied to protect her husband, O'Donnell's grandfather, who was still an undocumented immigrant at the time. That little lie kept him from being deported. It was a selfless act. But for O'Donnell, this revelation made her rethink everything she thought she knew about her grandmother. Suddenly, this woman, who appeared to be very honest and trustworthy, had a big secret she kept hidden, a secret she took to her grave. Mary's citizenship was officially revoked in 1949, and she never reapplied for naturalization, living the rest of her life as a non-citizen. It made Nora reassess her own family's legacy and the lengths people go to protect their loved ones. It's a reminder that our family histories are rarely as perfect as we imagine. And as surprising as this twist was for Nora, it is just the beginning. There are more shocking moments ahead. Stay tuned. Sammy Hagar. Number 19 is Sammy Hagar, the iconic Van Halen lead singer, whose episode on Finding Your Roots left both him and viewers in complete shock. Hagar discovered a truth about his family history that changed everything he thought he knew. As the episode unfolded, the show's researchers dug up some surprising census records from 1850. Hagar's great-great-grandmother, Elizabeth, was raising her kids all on her own, although this seemed like a typical story of a single mother surviving tough times. But here's the kicker. Her husband wasn't dead, missing, or out of the picture in some tragic way. He was very much alive and just living a county over with his own mother. And get this, they never reunited. Elizabeth was left to raise the kids by herself while he just moved on with his life. That was shocking enough, but things got even weirder. The show conducted a DNA test, and what they found sent Hagar's mind freaking. He had no biological connection to the Hagar family at all. Instead, his DNA linked him to a man with the surname Belch. According to the host, Henry Louis Gates Jr., maybe Elizabeth had an affair, which led to the mysterious separation and her husband's quiet exit. Hagar was stunned, calling the whole situation nutty and comparing it to a mental workout he'd be chewing on forever. And if you thought Sammy Hagar's story was wild, the next story will leave you speechless. John Waters. You might be wondering why we have John Waters sitting at number 18 on our list, but it turns out Waters' ancestry is as wild and complicated as one of his films. In Season 7 of Finding Your Roots, he discovered that his great-grandmother, Bera Whitaker, was dragged into a bitter legal battle after the death of her husband. And who was she battling? Her own mother-in-law, Mary. This wasn't just a minor family disagreement. It was a fight over the custody of her young son, Clifford. Mary, the mother-in-law, wasn't exactly painting Bera in the best light either. She argued that Bera had an uncontrollable temper and wasn't capable of raising Clifford, especially without the financial means to do so. It was the classic family drama trope of money, power, and control. and Bera found herself right in the middle of it. In a surprising twist that would make any courtroom drama worth watching, the court ruled in Bera's favor, granting her custody of Clifford and even awarding her a large part of the family fortune. This is like something out of a John Waters movie, full of tension, drama, and an unexpected twist ending. Waters himself couldn't help but see the parallels between his family's history and the outrageous stories he has brought to the screen. Lavar Burton. Number 17 on our list is Lavar Burton. The iconic actor and host is known for his roles in Roots and Reading Rainbow. When Burton appeared on Finding Your Roots, he expected to hear about his rich African heritage, but the revelations about his ancestry took a turn that left him completely floored. Imagine tracing your family history, expecting to uncover your African heritage, only to find out that one of your direct parents was a white Confederate soldier. That is exactly what happened to Burton. During the show, Burton learned that his lineage traced back to a white farmer named James Henry Dixon. And to make things even more awkward, Dixon had actually served in the Confederate Army during the Civil War. Burton was shocked by the discovery, exclaiming, "Are you kidding me? Oh my God!" His reaction was a mix of disbelief and deep reflection. Despite the initial shock, Burton saw the situation as an opportunity for dialogue. He acknowledged that this discovery could actually help him understand about race in America. According to him, as Americans, we need to have this conversation about who we are and how we got here. And if you thought that was intense, wait until you hear number 16. It will definitely surprise you even more. Number 16 brings us to an actor whose versatility has made him a standout in the industry. Neil Patrick Harris. Number 16 is Neil Patrick Harris, who faced a dramatic revelation about his family history on Finding Your Roots. Known for his charisma and humor, Harris was in shock when he discovered about his 12th great-grandmother, Gertrude Stool, and her unfortunate brush with the dark side of history. In the late 17th century was a dark time for accusations of witchcraft, especially for women. Gertrude was accused of using black magic to harm her neighbor's livestock. Imagine the scene: cows with foam on their necks, one even losing its hooves, and pigs that appeared to breathe like bellows, all blamed on Gertrude's alleged witchcraft. The trial was brutal, and Gertrude was later found guilty and sentenced to death. You might expect Harris to be deeply troubled by such a story of family history, but his reaction was far from being somber. Harris was fascinated by the idea of his ancestor being called a witch. He even connected Gertrude's alleged magical powers to his own passion for magic and illusions. "I'd like to think she really was a witch with magical powers," Harris mused, finding an odd twist in the family's dark past. Larry David. Number 15 brings us to Larry David, the comedian known for his sharp humor and knack for revealing life's absurdities. On Finding Your Roots, David faced a family mystery that left him scratching his head. David was surprised to learn just how little he really knew about her mother, a woman he describes as notoriously secretive. It was after her death that David realized that he had a little knowledge of his mother's life, including the fact that she was older than his father, something she never told him. However, the real twist came when the show's researchers uncovered a document revealing that David's grandmother had a daughter named Regina. David was surprised. He had never heard of Aunt Regina. Did she die, change her name, or just vanish? To his greatest surprise, it turned out that his mother, Rose, was actually born Regina. The revelation that she had changed her name and kept it a secret throughout her life left David dumbfounded. "Did you know your mother was born in Europe?" the host asked, to which David could only respond with disbelief. This family secret, kept hidden for so long, added another twist to David's story. And as we move forward, prepare for number 14, where yet another surprising family story awaits. Tiara. Number 14 on the list takes us to a surprising twist in Finding Your Roots, when singer Kiara Harris discovered a hidden relationship in her family history that left her speechless. In the Season 10 premiere, the DNA results revealed a secret about her great-great-grandmother, Emily. DNA results confirmed Kiara's connection to Emily and her son Willie Head, but what really threw her was that Willie's supposed father, Nathan, wasn't a match. Instead, Kiara's DNA pointed to a different man entirely, a white man named Walker Lafayette Head. As the story unfolded, it turned out that Walker and Nathan had grown up together in the same house, which led to the shocking discovery. When both men were in their 40s, Walker had slept with Nathan's wife, Emily. The nature of Walker and Emily's relationship remains a mystery, but Kiara expressed hope that it might have been consensual, despite the societal dynamics of the time making that seem unlikely. I'd like to believe there was some connection, that love was involved. Desire doesn't see color, Kiara said, reflecting on the emotional complexity of her newfound family history. According to her, she believes there was love involved. After all, desire doesn't care about race, she said, reflecting on the implications of her newfound family history. This next one again is quite fascinating. Sunonny Host. Coming in at number 13 is TV host Sunonny Host, whose appearance on Finding Your Roots in February 2024 turned her understanding of her heritage upside down. Born in 1968 to a Puerto Rican mother and an African-American father, Sunonny had always believed her roots were a simple split, half Puerto Rican, half African-American. But the show had a different story to tell. Sunonny was shocked to learn that only 7% of her DNA was indigenous Puerto Rican. Even more surprising, her ancestry traced back to a Spanish merchant, someone who, it turns out, likely participated in the slave trade. This new discovery clashed with her earlier beliefs and left her feeling a mix of disbelief and disappointment. Yet, despite the unexpected discovery, Sunonny admitted it gave her a deeper understanding of her family's complex past. "I guess it's just one of those things," she said, reflecting on how some people made their living at the expense of others. Next up at number 12 is another celebrity who finds their roots connected to history in a way they never saw coming. Who could that be? James Todd Smith. Okay, here we are at number 12. Imagine finding out a life-altering family secret years after your parents have passed away, and on national television. That was exactly what happened to James Todd Smith, popularly known as rapper LL Cool J, and his mother, Andrea Griffith, on Finding Your Roots. All their lives, they believed that the grandparents who raised them were their biological family. Turns out, the truth was far more complicated. After his parents split when he was young, Cool J was raised by his maternal grandparents, who supported his musical dreams. But one important detail had remained hidden for decades. His mother wasn't their biological child. The show revealed this shocking truth by showing an odd detail on her birth certificate. There were no parents listed. And, even more curious, the document was filed over a year after her birth. The discovery was so sensitive that host Henry Louis Gates Jr. had to pull Cool J aside, off camera, to share it with him privately. It was a major shock, but instead of letting it go, Cool J and his mom chose to explore it further. According to him, they deserved to know this. He was determined to uncover the story for his mother's sake. Ben Affleck. Sitting at number 11 is one of the more controversial moments in Finding Your Roots history. When Ben Affleck appeared on the show in 2014, he was eager to fill in the blanks of his family history. But what he discovered left him deeply uncomfortable. Affleck got to know that one of his maternal ancestors, Benjamin Cole, was a slave owner, a revelation that made history hit a lot closer than Affleck expected. Affleck was so disturbed by this discovery that he made efforts to keep everything hidden. He persuaded Henry Louis Gates Jr. and the producers to leave this uncomfortable detail out of the episode. For a while, it seemed like the secret was safe. But then came the Sony Pictures hack, which leaked emails showing Affleck's attempts to hide the truth. The controversy led to Finding Your Roots being temporarily suspended. Though the show eventually returned after Affleck apologized for trying to suppress his family's past, the incident became a reminder that our ties to history aren't just dusty old stories. They can be deeply personal and hard to face, even for the biggest stars. Laura Linney. Laura Linney, an accomplished actress known for elegance on screen, had quite the surprise during her 2019 appearance on Finding Your Roots. Sitting across Dr. Henry Louis Gates Jr., she probably had expected something interesting, only to discover that her fifth great-grandfather, William Kinney, had a criminal past. He was convicted in England for receiving stolen goods. This seems like a different story. But here is the explanation. It turns out that before Australia became the go-to place for British convicts, America was where they sent their criminals, and William was one of them, shipped off to Virginia in 1768. The moment Dr. Gates revealed her family's dark history, Laura's initial reaction was one of surprise. As he read the details aloud, one could see her processing this newfound connection to a centuries-old scandal. "Holy mackerel," she exclaimed, looking at the passenger list from the ship that had carried her great-grandfather across the ocean. But instead of feeling embarrassed, Laura broke into laughter, fully embracing the unexpected twist in her family history. Who would have thought her family history isn't just about wealth? This makes you wonder what other secrets might be hidden in her family's past. Sandra OBrien. Sandra OBrien's discovery on Finding Your Roots was nothing but a stunning shock. It was a moment that left everyone in silence as the host Henry Louis Gates Jr. presented a prisoner register from 19th century Scotland. It revealed that O'Brien's third great-grandmother, Lilas Whitman, had been deeply entangled in many crimes. The register showed that Lilas Whitman, at 41 years old, was arrested for robbery and handling stolen goods. But here's the twist. She wasn't acting alone. She was implicated alongside a gang of teenage boys. It seemed like Lilas might have been the ringleader of this young gang in Edinburgh, Scotland. There was tension in the room as O'Brien read through the records. Eventually, what started as an ordinary family history search quickly turned into a disturbing discovery. The news was tough for O'Brien. At first, she was clearly embarrassed by the family secret. However, as the story unfolded, it became clear that there was more. O'Brien learned that her ancestors' involvement in crime wasn't just random lawlessness. Lilas's husband had died at a young age, leaving her to support their family on her own. The poverty and hardship she faced drove her to crime as a last resort to survive. Her initial shock transformed into a somber understanding as the tragic circumstances behind the criminal acts came to light. The discovery showed the secret problems that have affected some families. But that's not all. Up next, we explore another family history revelation that will surely leave you speechless. Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts is a name everyone knows, but here is a twist you probably didn't see coming. It is not actually her biological surname. On Finding Your Roots, the Oscar-winning actress discovered this surprising truth. She had always believed that her last name came from her great-great-grandfather, Willis Roberts. But then, the show's researchers uncovered something shocking. Julia's great-grandfather, John, was born more than a decade after Willis had already passed away. This left her questioning everything. How could this be? The team dug through records in Douglas County, searching for any clue about John's father, but they came up with nothing. That is when they turned to a DNA test, which revealed an unexpected ancestor. Henry MacDonald Mitchell Jr., a man who lived just a few miles away from Willis's widow, Rhoda. And, as it turns out, Henry's mother lived just 4 houses down from Rhoda. So, while Julia Roberts might technically be Julia Mitchell, it's hard to imagine her by any other name. But hold on, because the next revelation is even more shocking. Issa Ray. In Issa Ray's episode of Finding Your Roots, the actress and producer was confronted with a family history that could have easily been a plot twist in one of her own shows. The discoveries were both fascinating and complicated. During the episode, Ray learned about her third great-grandfather, Dorson Chanette, who stood out in records from an era when most enslaved people weren't even listed by name. The reason for this? Dorson's mother, Mite, had been granted freedom. This was during a time when free black people faced legal and social restrictions, especially in southern states like Louisiana, where the family resided. Might's freedom did not guarantee full rights, leaving her in a vulnerable position despite being free on paper. But here's the kicker. She was freed by her owner, who wasn't a white plantation owner, but a black man. The revelation left Ray completely stunned. She couldn't believe the complexity in this part of her family's history. And then things got even more interesting. It turned out that Dorson's father was actually a white man who had a secret relationship with Might while maintaining a separate family. Talk about a complicated love triangle. Ray described the whole discovery as a slave soap opera, and honestly, it's easy to see why. The tangled relationships and secrets were both shocking and emotional. Gail King. Gail King's episode of Finding Your Roots uncovered a family secret that had been buried for generations. The focus was on her maternal grandmother, Emma Brown, whose origins were more complex than Gail had thought. King had always known her grandmother was biracial, a black mother and a white father. But this was a topic that had been avoided in her family. The details of Emma's father's identity were shrouded in secrecy, hidden away, possibly out of shame. When asked about her grandmother's father, King only knew he was a white man. But the host, through research, traced her lineage back to Robert Elliott Copes, a white man from South Carolina. This meant that over 30% of King's genetic makeup was European. But when the DNA results were revealed to her, Gail wasn't exactly surprised. "You are 1/3 white," the host announced, and King, in disbelief, jokingly responded, "Take that back." It was a light-hearted moment, but it also showed how uncovering family history can stir up unexpected emotions. Angela Davis. In 2023, Finding Your Roots delivered one of its most shocking stories yet. This time, it was to none other than political activist Angela Davis. Known for her advocacy for civil rights and relentless fight against racism, Davis had spent her life opposing the very systems her ancestors helped build. During the show, she was handed a list of passengers from the Mayflower, and her reaction said it all. "I can't believe this. No, my ancestors did not come here on the Mayflower, but they did." Davis found out she was a direct descendant of William Brewster, one of the original settlers who sailed to America on that famous voyage. Brewster was a leading figure of the Pilgrims. He played an important role in establishing the Plymouth colony and shaping early American society. For someone who has spent a lifetime challenging the very systems that arose from colonialism, this was a twist she wasn't expecting. Davis confessed that the discovery is more than could handle. She was clearly shaken by the revelation. It was a powerful reminder that our ancestors' paths don't always predict our own. George Martin. When George Martin appeared on Finding Your Roots in 2019, he uncovered a family secret that felt like it was pulled straight from one of his complex novels. Growing up, Martin spent a lot of time with his beloved grandmother, Grace Martin, but knew little about his grandfather, Louis Martin. George had always believed that Louis, an Italian immigrant, had left Grace for a younger woman. This story seemed straightforward until the show's research made a stunning revelation. Martin's family had always been tight-lipped about their past, and he had never suspected that his grandmother might be hiding a secret of her own. Martin's DNA test results revealed a major twist. There was no Italian heritage in his ancestry. Instead, the results revealed a significant portion of Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry. This discovery was particularly surprising, given that Martin's works often feature complex characters and plot lines, but he had never explored his own Jewish heritage in his writing. The implication was clear. His real grandfather was Jewish, and it was likely Grace who had the affair, not Louis. This twist probably led to Louis walking away. Martin was visibly shaken by the news, remarking that this new twist made the family history even more complex than he had imagined. As an author known for his meticulous research and world-building, Martin was struck by the parallels between his family's secrets and the intricate plots of his novels. According to him, he has often thought of writing a book about that house, but he hasn't even told half the stories yet. And if this revelation is any indication, we can expect his next book to be as chaotic and complex as his storied fantasy worlds. Viola Davis. Coming in at number 3 is Viola Davis. When she appeared on Finding Your Roots, she wanted to learn more about her family's past, but the Oscar-winning actress was shocked to find out that her great-grandfather, Henry Logan, had a tangled family history that had been kept secret for years. During the show, Viola was asked if her mother had ever spoken about their family's past. "Never," she responded, reflecting on the mystery that had been kept secret. The secret deepened when it was revealed that 2 different men were listed as Henry's father on official documents: Gable Logan on his Social Security application and John Young on his obituary. Gable Logan was a decorated war veteran. He had returned from World War I with injuries and struggled with post-traumatic stress. Although he was married to Henry's mother, Karen, he never returned to live with her after the war, which was a common issue for veterans of that period. Meanwhile, Karen was left to manage her life and her child on her own. During this time, she entered into a relationship with John Young, a local farmer, which was kept hidden due to social norms and stigma surrounding extramarital affairs at the time. John Young was listed in Henry's obituary, but not as a father figure, adding to the family's complex story. Through DNA testing and census data, it was revealed that Karen likely had an affair with John Young, resulting in the birth of Viola's grandfather. As Viola put it, "It's the mess of relationships, love. It's the truth. And sometimes that truth is more complicated than fiction." Kathryn Hahn. Kathryn Hahn's experience on Finding Your Roots took a twist straight out of a scandalous historical drama. The actress, known for her comedic flair, wasn't expecting her family's past to be quite so dramatic. But as she uncovered her ancestry, she found herself in the middle of a tale of love and betrayal. It all started in Germany, 1853. Kathryn's third great-grandfather, Wilhelm Lunen Schloss, was living an ordinary life with his wife and 6 children. Fast forward a few years to 1860, and Wilhelm had left that life behind, finding himself in Wisconsin, married to a new woman named Eliza. So, what happened between those years? Why did Wilhelm abandon his family and move halfway across the world? The Finding Your Roots team did some research, and what they uncovered could have been the plot of a 19th-century soap opera. Eliza wasn't just any woman, she was the daughter of Wilhelm's neighbor back in Germany. Through a city directory from 1854, they discovered that Eliza lived just a few doors down from Wilhelm. Wilhelm and Eliza likely started an affair right under the noses of their families, and when things got too complicated, Wilhelm made the bold decision to leave everything behind and start anew in America. For Kathryn, this revelation was a lot to take in. "You are the product of scandal," the show's host Henry Louis Gates Jr. teased her, and indeed, she was. The fact that Wilhelm had to abandon one life to start another for Kathryn's lineage to even exist made the story more complex. Niecy Nash. Niecy Nash went into Finding Your Roots, thinking she knew her family story, but she got the greatest shock of her life instead. She had always believed that her paternal grandfather was a man named Arthur, only to find out that wasn't the case at all. When the researchers on the show did a deep dive into her DNA and that of a second cousin, they discovered her real grandfather was actually a man named Frank Jackson. Nash's reaction was a mix of disbelief and confusion. "Wait, what?" she remembered saying, trying to wrap her mind around this twist. Her whole understanding of her family's history had just been flipped upside down. To add to the shock, it turned out that Frank Jackson had been living in the same neighborhood as Arthur for years, making the secret even more unexpected. To make things even more awkward, Jackson lived close to her grandmother in St. Louis, which suggested there had been an affair. That affair led to Nash's father, meaning the family tree she thought she knew suddenly had a big branch she didn't expect. The toughest part of all this? Figuring out how to tell her dad. Did he ever know? Did he ever meet Jackson? Nash was left with more questions than answers, and a complicated family history she never saw coming. It is the kind of revelation that leaves you wondering what other secrets might still be buried, just waiting to come to light. Have you ever discovered any shocking truth about your own family? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating content. Also, click on the next video on your screen. You will love it.